Hi, this is Katya, and I'm doing a screencast today focusing on part one of the assignment, really just to give a little bit of guidance if you need it. It is pretty prescriptive, but do not follow the prescription, go your own way. This is one suggested route to achieve the outcomes for the assignment. I'm also doing it really to provide some tutor input. You've had a real spell of solitary study, so I'm doing a bit of blending now. Let's have a look at the essay question. So part one of the assignment, you are going to describe, apply and evaluate curriculum, ideologies and models. You don't have many words to do this, so you're going to have to be a bit picky about what you focus on and what you don't focus on. One route could be to talk about generally, for a short while, what education's actually for. What is it you're doing it for? What is it you're trying to achieve, and what do you want for your students? Now, in order to do that, you're going to have to speak pretty personally, starting from your own ideological position. So you can look at your educational ideology. Remember those questions that you answered in the very first session when we were all together. So that's your ideological position. You can talk more generally about your ideology in general, not just education. I think you need some form of definition of curriculum. It is an assignment about curriculum. So find a theorist's view that is aligned with your own. You'll probably find that just looking at the written curriculum, so the static scheme of work or syllabus, it's not really going to sum up what the whole curriculum is. You need to consider the limitations of some of the definitions, try to view it broadly. The static curriculum doesn't respond to the realities of teaching. It doesn't know who your particular students are. You respond to these realities, and that's the taught curriculum. And what's learned by the students is something else altogether. A little read of this cartoon about the hidden curriculum. So nothing that is worth knowing can be taught. There's something here about it being a much wider thing. It's much broader. It's the whole experience of the student. That's what the hidden curriculum is. There's two opposing views of this. There's the totalitarian view. This has got something to do with moulding someone, socialising someone so they're ready for the world, maybe ready for the vocation if you work in vocational education or your own specialist field. Mr. Ben here is wearing his business suit, but it could be just as easily a lab coat or sports clothing, or a chef's uniform, or whatever it is you wear in a salon, which I don't know the word for. Is it a salon uniform? Marxist view is a little bit more critical. It's less about positive socialisation. Totalitarian might be about having good timekeeping, behaving in a particular way. Marxists see this as kind of being docile, people having to obey. So it's linked to ideas of hegemony, the powerful few and all the oppressed masses. If you're interested in this, Freire and Michael Apple have done a lot of work on this particular view of education. But what do you think? Is it a mix? Or do you prefer one view? Do you take the Marxist view? Or are you a bit more cynical? Or the totalitarian view? Are you trying to mould somebody who is ready for your particular specialist field, to be ready for the industry? You choose. You don't have many words to do this, but you're going to have to describe to some extent the context in which you teach. You don't just teach in a little bubble. You could explore whatever it is that makes your context different and the curriculum different. So this could be geographical, you could talk about the economic climate, the political landscape, the type of institution, do you work in the community, some aspect that you think is relevant to your curriculum. Now this is a must. It is non-negotiable that you need to apply and evaluate the 4 main ideologies and make links with the models. We're going to use these as tools to evaluate your curriculum. You can include other ideologies and other models, but you must make sure that you do these 4. These are tools, really. So some of them you may think aren't that relevant to your curriculum, but I'd argue they are. And if they're not, say why they're not. One starting point might be to contrast classical humanism with liberal humanism, because liberal humanism came as a response to classical humanism, as is so often the case. Both are incredibly relevant now. My approach for going through these ideologies, I thought I'd very briefly apply them to this curriculum, to PSET, because it's one that you're all familiar with. Let's look at classical humanism. This is the ideology of academia. You're doing a level 7 course. It's something to do with being intellectual and the passing on of knowledge from one very knowledgeable person to another. So me doing this screencast, it's very one way, it's not interactive. You could switch it off, of course, that's your choice. Do let me know what you think of this at the end, but right now I am choosing what to put in. Now we've done this for this particular module anyway. It's based on what Andrew and I feel should be part of it, and this is determined by tradition, which is a big aspect of classical humanism. I've also already imposed a bit of my ideology because I've mentioned Michael Apple, and that's somebody I'm interested in. So theorists have argued that every decision we make as teachers is political and ideologically motivated. I don't know what you think about this, but content matters. Why is it there? What isn't there? Why isn't it there? Does it matter? Liberal humanism. So this was the big backlash against classical humanism. This aimed to be more democratic. It's for the people, not just the chosen few. The value with this particular ideology is on the personal journey. As far as PSET's concerned, I hope that the observation feedback you receive is personal and developmental, and that it acknowledges the journey that you're on, your starting point, and where you want to end up. You want to be the sort of teacher you want to be, and hopefully that's encouraged. So it's about the process, and that's why this model is affiliated with liberal humanism. Of course, it has its critics. How do you measure this personal journey? Everybody's idea of self-actualization is different, so how is it measured? You obviously need a qualification at the end of it for currency so you can work as a teacher, so it can't be purely liberal humanist. Have a think about instrumentalism. So you might recognise this particular picture that I've picked from Ken Robinson's Changing Paradigms. This is about homogeny, really, satisfying the needs of industry and making sure everybody can reach the outcomes. And at a certain extent, that's what we're doing in PSET. We may value your personal journey, but by the end of the process, you'll have all met the same countless outcomes. And you're hopefully going to emerge as the finished product and ready to be delivered into industry, that being the education industry. What about your students? It's a bit of a bleak view, really, but it's a reality of capitalism. Just remember that you can apply your own ideology to the way that a curriculum is delivered. So what happens when your classroom door is closed isn't necessarily the broader view in a very instrumentalist society. It's really, really popular right now, though, instrumentalism. The last one is progressivism, and I'm not going to say too much about this one. It's still happening now, and I'd rather you read about it, as you should have with all the others. But I really want you to make up your own mind about this one and apply it to your specialism, to your specialist curriculum. But what I will say is that the PSET journey isn't just about this academic side, it's what you do in the classroom as well. It's authentic and it's real, and part of the assessment takes place in the classroom. Even when you're not being assessed, just doing your placement is situated in the real world. Think about your students. What aspects of the situational model are you actually using? So where are you in terms of curriculum? Where is your curriculum and where do you want it to be? You're going to apply all of these ideologies and models and evaluate them. Let's just have a look at the particular design models. You don't need to do a great deal of this in the assignment, but if it's pertinent to what you want to be different, then absolutely go for it. So just very briefly, you've got the linear model. This is often affiliated with instrumentalist education. It's like a production line, isn't it? It's put in a logical order with some sort of assessment at the end. You probably use other design models as well. So spiral, that's kind of adding layers of understanding, going back to themes again and again. Language acquisition is a kind of good example of a curriculum that uses this. So you're taught a particular grammatical model and then use it again and again in different ways. Thematic, so looking at a particular theme to make it real for your students. What I'm going to come to next is one that we use in PSET. So inclusion, this is a theme that comes up again and again in all of the modules. This also needs to be part of the assignment, so consider how inclusive your curriculum is. Who is it for? Is it for everyone? Do you have a good mix? If not, why not? You can consider gender here, so for instance, are there enough women in science if your particular curriculum is science? On the flip side of that, how welcoming is the beauty therapy curriculum to men? You can consider age, race, LGBT, disability. Socioeconomics is a big one if you're looking at FE education. Think about who FE students actually are and where they come from, what's their position on the socioeconomic scale. And consider here how your curriculum responds to these inequalities. What are you doing as a teacher to try to equalise? And what does the curriculum itself do? Now, as a result of all of this evaluation, you're probably going to come up with some improvements that you would like to be made, and that will be based on your particular ideological position. So what you're going to come up with maybe is a dream curriculum. So what would you like it to be? How does it differ, and is it possible? There's a lot there and not many words. Good coverage is really, really important, but you're going to have to make some decisions about what you're going to give a light touch and what you are going to focus on. But whatever you do, make sure you go through all 4 of the main ideologies and make links with the models. So ideology is pretty personal, but to get that level 7 academic rigour, you're going to have to really rely on theory. Make sure that it's not journalistic. So be careful about making very subjective statements. By all means, get on your high horse and have a strong argument, but you do need to mix in some theory to get that academic rigour and the ballast you need for it to be taken seriously. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Do let me know and have a great half term. Thank you. Good luck with the assignment.